If you have been following us for a while, you probably know that we left Ecuador almost 3 years ago. Hard to believe. Since then, we've been to dozens of destinations around the world in Europe and Southeast Asia and Latin America. And we have discovered some countries do things better than Ecuador. We are not surprised by that. And Ecuador has changed quite a bit since we moved there in 2017. But if we woke up today and decided we wanted to move abroad, we would still choose Ecuador.
Yep.
And we're going to explain why in this video.
But before we do, if you're new to our channel, we're Amelia and JP, and we can help you fast track your move abroad, whether you want to expat in one country or just slow travel for a while.
Back to Ecuador. It is not perfect. We know that. We're not going to gloss over the safety issues or some of the infrastructure challenges or the economic challenges. I mean, every country has its challenges.
That is true. Yeah. There is no perfect place. Sorry.
Yeah. And some things are objectively worse today than they were when we moved there in 2017. In 2017, Ecuador was like one of the safest countries in all of Latin America. And now it's one of the most dangerous if you just look at the murder rate.
Right. I was just going to say not everywhere, but you're right. If you just are looking at the whole numbers.
Yeah, the big number, because of a few areas along in the coastal region are extremely dangerous and violent right now. And if you generalize that across the whole country, it makes the whole country look bad. But in the mountains where we recommend going and where most of our friends still live and still like it, it's still basically the same as it was before.
You guys, if it was dangerous, we would not go back.
Yeah.
We spent time there in September, October. We were there for almost 3 months. We're going back again. We're going to keep going back because we love it, but we're not crazy people. There's no way we would put ourselves in a dangerous situation.
Yeah. All right, so if we were starting over today, we would probably approach the decision a little bit differently, given everything that we know now. I mean, we know so much more. We were such rookies in 2017. We'd been to a few resorts in Mexico. That was about the extent of our travels.
Yeah.
And now we've been all over the world, and we lived in Ecuador for 6 years, and our perspective has definitely changed.
We are a bit more seasoned.
Yeah, definitely more experience.
Yes.
So when we look at things in terms of where a good place is to move abroad, Ecuador still checks a lot of boxes for us and for a lot of other people. So, and we're going to go through each of these. The first one is they have a path to residency for almost everyone.
Well, yeah, and this is a really big thing because if you can't move there, you can't move there. So you might as well just cross it off your list. You know, we see some of those lists out there and they say New Zealand, Australia, Iceland are the best places to go for expats. But you know, you can't get visas easily there. So why put that out there? This you can do.
Yeah, I just saw a list that had all those in Sweden and Germany. And unless you're working age and employable and speak the language, you can't move there. So I don't understand where these best countries for expats is coming from, because it just doesn't apply to anyone watching our videos.
Probably not. I mean, if you have millions of dollars, yes, you can do some of those. But most of us out there don't.
So when we moved in 2017 to Ecuador, they were one of the few countries that had a visa that would work for us as self-employed remote workers.
Right.
They have a lot more digital nomad visas now around the world, but then they didn't. And they had what's called the professional visa. It worked well for us, and it still does. And we're looking for a second residency, and we're still having trouble finding a place that wants us.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky because we're kind of in this gray area. I mean, we absolutely could go and apply for digital nomad visas, and there are some other options, but we are also very mindful of the tax situation because we're working, so we are still paying taxes. I mean, no matter what, you have to pay taxes as Americans, but you may end up paying more if you're not collecting Social Security, because there's different rules depending on the country about the way they tax things.
Yeah, you might not have to pay taxes as an American. Amelia likes to say that. You have to file taxes.
You do.
But you might qualify for that foreign earned income exclusion if you severely limit your time in the U.S., but that's beyond the scope of this video.
Well, I say that too because we have to pay taxes.
Yeah, well,
so I'm generalizing to everybody.
We pay self-employment taxes, Amelia. It's a little bit different. So we still pay into Social Security and Medicare.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll have those when we need them.
Yes, well, and I get taxes taken out of my paycheck.
Yeah. All right, so speaking of visas, we are going to do a webinar. We're going to interview Maite from Gringo Visas on Saturday, June 27th. and she's going to answer all of your questions about Ecuador residency. I'm really excited about this.
It's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Very informative. They've made some changes. So you're definitely going to want to sign up for that.
So just scan this QR code here or go to ameliaandjp.com/webinar to register. It's totally free, and we hope that you guys can make it. We'll see you there.
Okay,
right.
JP, what's next?
Number 2 on the list is the climate.
Yep.
We still love the climate in the mountains of Ecuador. It's eternal spring, and it couldn't be any more perfect. It's usually in the low 70s, sometimes upper 60s Fahrenheit, and it's like big puffy white clouds. It doesn't rain all the time. It's not humid. We haven't found a place with better weather year round.
Yeah, you know, I have to say, when we lived in Cuenca for a while, when we first moved there after coming from Denver, I was a little bit cold, and remember we had that year where it was not very sunny. However, after spending a lot of time in Southeast Asia and other parts of the world where it's really hot and humid, I seriously miss Cuenca weather. I honestly didn't think I would say that.
Yeah. So in the mountains of Ecuador, it's anywhere from like 7,000 or 6,000 to 9,000 feet in that range. And so it stays pretty cool and temperate, even though it's on the equator. A lot of people think it's like jungle and it's hot and humid, and it is in the Amazon, and it can be on the coast, but it's generally not in the mountains.
No, not at all. It's very comfortable. So as long as you don't have issues with high altitude, you probably will really like it. But you definitely need to be mindful of that UV.
Yeah, you don't need heat or air conditioning.
No, you don't.
It's so nice.
Pretty fantastic.
All right, number 3 on our list is it's on the US dollar, and we know a lot of you are concerned about the devaluation of the dollar, as are we, but we honestly don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon, and it's really nice to be able to go there and know we don't have to deal with inflation or math in our heads.
It is easier for sure.
Yeah,
because it's what we're used to.
I shouldn't say inflation, the exchange rate.
Right.
Although inflation was minimal during when it was high everywhere else, it maxed out at 4% in Ecuador.
Yeah, it was not a big impact in Ecuador.
It's just nice being on the dollar, not have to do any math. And then like with the euro, it's so weak against the euro now. 2 years ago, it was almost 1-to-1. It was affordable. And then we go there this time, it was 1 to $1.18, €1 to $1.18, and everything was a lot more expensive.
It adds up over time.
It does, yeah. All right, number 4 on our list is that it is closer to family and friends than a lot of the other places that we've been spending our time over the last few years.
Yes, and that is important to us because as our families get older, we want to make sure we can get back quickly.
Yeah, and same time zone, easier to talk. Like I was supposed to call mom yesterday, and I'm laying in bed at 10 o'clock last night, and I thought, oh no, I forgot to call mom again because of the time change. I always remember when they're still asleep, and then when I remember again, I'm already ready for bed. So
it is tricky.
It is.
I think the easiest was when we were in New Zealand because it was basically the same time zone, but just a day behind.
Yeah, it's only 4 hours different from West Coast. So it is easier to stay in touch and communicate, easier to get back more quickly.
Well, and if you are working, it is nice to be in the same time zone. That was a big thing for me because when we first moved to Ecuador, I was working full time. I still work part-time for my company in Denver, and sometimes that time zone can be really tricky. I don't like working at 11 p.m.
No. Yeah, I don't like you because then I can't sleep.
Exactly.
All right, number 5 on our list is the strong expat community. And I know a lot of people say, I want to go and integrate, live with the locals, and live like a local and stuff. But you're going to appreciate having someone with a similar background who speaks your language natively. It's just nice to have that. You can still be friends with locals.
Absolutely.
But it's really nice to have a strong expat community. That also comes with a lot of expat-oriented services and like things that you can do that are geared toward English speakers?
Well, it helped us a lot. When we first moved to Ecuador, we were unsure. Like JP said, we were pretty naive and we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into. Remember we actually thought we knew Spanish, and then we showed up and we were both like deer in headlights. We couldn't do anything. So having some people who had already gone through the visa process and gotten their apartments and gotten settled in and knew their way around and were helpful, really helpful, it made a huge difference in our comfort level immediately. And especially if you haven't been outside the country or spent time in other cultures before, it's really nice to have that commonality.
It is. Yeah, it's not overrated.
No.
As much as you want to think that you're going to go and just immediately integrate into the local culture,
it's not that easy.
It's not that easy. It takes time.
It does, and you need to give yourself time because you will have some culture shock. I don't care what country you move to. Things are never going to be exactly what you're used to at home, and you don't know when that's going to hit you. So it's really nice to have a support system in place.
Yep. All right, number 6 on our list is healthcare. When we moved there in 2017, Ecuador was ranked really high, like higher than Canada for healthcare, higher than the US for healthcare. Yeah. And so we were really excited to go someplace with high quality and affordable healthcare. Now, the healthcare overall ranking has slipped since the pandemic because the public system hasn't really kept up. It can't afford to keep up with the economic troubles, but the private system, we haven't noticed a change at all.
No, not in the slightest.
No, our quality of care in Ecuador is fantastic. We have the WhatsApp numbers for our doctors. We can get appointments the same day or the next day. It's super affordable. In fact, I did a whole write-up on how much things cost like a couple of years ago, and it hasn't changed. We had more healthcare stuff done last fall when we were there. Everything was the same.
Yeah, nothing's really changed at all. It's easy to get, at least for us, it's easy to get medications. It depends, of course, on what you're taking, but I would say in general, healthcare there is just superb. And that's pretty typical around the world, but Ecuador is still, we're just so comfortable going to the doctors there. It's just so much easier.
A lot of people ask, like, what do we do for insurance? We still have a private health insurance plan in Ecuador. It covers us for travel emergencies, and we've used it before, and it worked,
We have.
which was nice. And I have my spinal issue, obviously, is a pre-existing condition. It's covered, I think, up to $7,500 a year, which is not a lot. However, a friend of ours had the same neck surgery that I had that cost over $300,000 in the U.S. It was, I think, $25,000 in Ecuador. So the cost difference is so much that we're not really that worried about it. We have an emergency savings fund that will help cover that kind of stuff if I need to have that done.
Well, and what some people choose to do is get private and public. So depending on your personal situation, you can go and get the public health care, and that will cover everything. So if you have an emergency situation, you can use the public to help offset some of that as well.
Yeah, and if they don't have a specialist or somebody that you need, they will actually refer you out to private. So that's nice.
It's a good option.
All right, number 7 on our list is the natural beauty. It still is unparalleled. Colombia is similar. Colombia and Peru, but it's just so gorgeous there.
I know.
With the mountains and the beach and the Amazon, the Galapagos. We went to Mindo, to the cloud forest, and had hummingbirds flying around us and landing on us. We saw toucans in the wild. It was the coolest thing.
Yeah, and you've got the waterfalls. In Cuenca, you've got the rivers running right through town, and everything is green and lush, and I just love it. If you like to be outdoors, it is a fabulous place. You could go hiking and biking, and we walk all over, and keeps you fit and healthy.
I know, and if you're tired of one area, you can just move a little ways away, and you've got a completely different environment.
That is the truth. It is really fascinating. It's a small country. The diversity is incredible. Those microclimates.
Yeah, there's a microclimate in just south of Manta. So Manta's kind of desert-like, and it's very desert looking as you drive south, and then you go over this mountain and down into a valley, and it's literally a rainforest.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's where we saw one of those pileated woodpeckers that looks like Woody Woodpecker.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Boy, we got some good memories.
I know. So you look like Woody Woodpecker.
He did. He was really big. He was like this big.
Yeah. All right, number 8 on our list is that we already speak Spanish. After going to Albania and Southeast Asia and trying to learn a few words, it is so painful. Some of those languages are just so painful. Spanish is super easy compared to even like Italian and French.
Yes, it is easier for us. Maybe if you grew up hearing different languages, some people just have a knack. We do not. So having Spanish under our belt it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were in Prague, one of the people at the coffee shop spoke like fluent English with barely an accent. And I said, "Where are you from?" She said, "I'm from Russia." I said, well, how did you learn English so well? And she goes, I don't know. I just have a knack. I speak all kinds of languages and I just pick them up really fast. I'm like, oh,
so impressive.
I'm so jealous.
I know. It is amazing when people can do that. And they say, yeah, I speak 8 languages.
I know. It's crazy.
And us Americans, we speak 1.
Yeah.
I'll give us 1.5 because our Spanish is not fluent.
No, it's not. But we can get by and we can understand and we can read.
Well,
so,
and once we get there and spend more time there, it comes back.
Yeah. I know. If you're going to spend a lot of time in a country, you really need to learn the language. And some of those languages, those tonal languages in Southeast Asia are it's so hard. Like you get the tone wrong and it's a completely different word.
Yeah, that would be really difficult.
Yeah. All right. Number 9, Amelia, your favorite, food quality, and I'm going to say self-sufficiency because go ahead. I'm going to let you talk about the food.
Well, the food is, you're right. I talk about this all the time. Going to the mercados we haven't found anything that it equates. We've been to some other countries where the food is good, but nothing compares to that. Fruit in Ecuador, the produce, the beans. Oh, you're right. I could go on forever. I'm not going to because you guys don't really need to hear that. JP, maybe you can put some pictures up.
Yeah. Well, I miss
avocados.
I miss the tropical fruit. Yeah. We don't get that, like the pitahayas and the mangoes and the papayas. We just don't get that. And if you see them, they're usually green and really expensive, and we don't buy them. But in Ecuador, you get a papaya this big for like a couple bucks, and it'll last us an entire week.
Oh, and all of the produce that we buy, all of our vegetables are just amazing. And they're so abundant, like you said. There's just so much of it. It's very nutrient dense, which I appreciate. The food actually has flavor. Imagine that.
Yeah. It may not be the prettiest. I often say that it's kind of ugly, but man, it tastes good.
It does taste good.
Well, and they grow it all in those fertile volcanic soil in Ecuador, and they grow their own food. And in this kind of an uncertain world, it's kind of nice to be in a place where they still grow food largely the old way.
Yeah, it's definitely not something to ignore, in my opinion, because none of us know what's going to happen in the future. But sometimes we're in countries and they have to bring a lot of their food in from outside. And I always think, well, what would happen if we had another lockdown or I don't even know what. I know, it'd be nice. Some sort of incident.
It's nice to be in a place that grows its own food and largely by hand. All right, number 10 on our list is that the value is still hard to beat. It's still affordable, even though some prices have gone up, and we've been hearing from some expats complaining that the prices have gone up. We didn't notice it when we were there. It wasn't the stuff that we bought when we left is still basically the same price. The rents are similar. I mean, the places that we looked at before, like 5 years ago, are still the same price. The rent in our place in Cuenca, I think, is still the same price that we paid in 2017.
Yeah, it's not a substantial increase. I do know that some rents in the popular areas and the newer buildings are more expensive, and that's going to happen because it's newer construction. Our health insurance has gone up ever since COVID. That's gotten more expensive. But other than that, things are they're very similar. It's a minimal impact as far as pricing goes.
I think a couple can still live there on under $1,800 a month.
Yeah, we could definitely live there like what we used to and be happy. Yeah. We were on a budget when we first moved to Ecuador, and I never felt like we missed out on anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a single can probably live there on less than $1,200. I think you could live on even less than that, and we know people who do.
Yes.
It kind of depends on, I don't know, what you include in your monthly budget. If you're gonna include like savings for an emergency, then that is different.
Right.
But as far as like utilities, housing, healthcare.
Yeah, we're talking the basics, not if you want to plan a bunch of vacations or if you're planning on traveling all over with a private driver or doing a lot of air travel. Obviously, that's more expensive.
Yeah, and if you include that in your monthly budget, it's going to be higher. But if you go there like we didn't leave for 4 years. If you go there and you live on a budget and you don't have any serious medical emergencies or conditions that require really expensive medication or health care, then that's what these numbers are for. Every time we say that you can live there on this, we get all kinds of comments from people saying, no, you can't. It's way more expensive. If you have one emergency, you're blowing your budget. Well, that's not what this is. This is not a budget for emergencies.
Right.
But you might have that. A lot of people don't. We didn't have a single emergency the first 4 years that we lived there.
Hopefully we won't have any more.
Yeah, but we don't need to knock on wood because I'm talking about the past.
You're right.
We did not have any
We did not.
expensive emergencies the first, really the first 6 years we lived, the
No,
whole
we
6
didn't.
years we lived there.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing that happened was when I twisted my knee and I had to get those crutches.
Yeah, which was easy.
Yep.
Cheap.
Yep. That was it.
Yeah, so the other thing I like about Ecuador is that it's more developed than other low-cost countries, especially, like compared to Albania. We did a video comparing Ecuador and Albania, and the level of development we talked about is better in Ecuador. I think that would surprise a lot of people.
I agree.
It's definitely better than like Cambodia or parts of Vietnam and
Right.
Thailand. I mean, Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh City are extremely developed, but you get outside of those main hubs and it's really not. And
yeah, of course it depends on what part of the country you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can drink the water in Cuenca.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing after being in so many countries where you can't. That is not overrated.
It's not. We could drink it in Kumbaya too. And we had a water filtration system in Manta. So really the only place we could not drink the water was when we lived in Olón.
Yeah, and we had to go get those big water.
We had them delivered.
Yes.
Or the handyman would bring them by whenever. I just send him a WhatsApp. He'd bring us a couple of those 5-gallon jugs. All right, so what has traveling taught us, Amelia, over the last 3 years? I would say that it's taught us that countries beat Ecuador in certain categories. Like some countries are more developed, France and Spain.
Yeah, especially when you're thinking infrastructure, transportation. I'm thinking transportation in general, like being able to travel by train throughout a country. That's incredible.
And walkability.
Yes.
Definitely safety.
Yes, the safety, unfortunately, in parts of Ecuador has gone down, and there's definitely more crime than there used to be. I would argue that that's happened in a lot of other countries as well.
It has.
And I know people sometimes talk about the protests in Ecuador, but a lot of countries protest. So that's not that unusual.
Yeah. So a lot of those countries that are really a lot better than Ecuador are also really difficult to move to and really expensive.
Right. Right.
So if you take all of that into account, the ability to move there and the ability to afford to live there, that's why one of the reasons Ecuador still checks, those boxes along with all the others, it really those outweigh some of the smaller factors.
Yes, exactly. There's always, like I said in the beginning, there's no perfect place. You're not going to find your Shangri-La. In order to do that, you may actually have to have a couple of different countries that you can move between to fit the bill. But for us personally, this is, we haven't found any place better.
We haven't. We still love it. So we've said from the beginning of our YouTube channel that Ecuador is not right for everyone.
No,
it's not. There's some things that are an acquired taste, and depending on your budget and your visa qualifications, you might find a place that you like better, which is one reason why we decided we want to go travel around the world, because we want to be able to help more people than just the people who want to move to Ecuador.
Right. A lot of people, like you said, France. For us, I would love to spend some time in France, but I don't see myself becoming fluent in French. So I think that could be an issue.
Yeah.
But France has its good positives and negatives, just like any place else. Spain is another option. We talked about going to Malta.
Yeah. So back in 2017, when we were deciding to move abroad, we chose Ecuador for the visa. It was one of the few places we qualified for. It was affordable, had good quality health care, which was really important to us. And we wanted a fresh start in a place that was more exotic than Mexico, which was kind of like the other option at the time. In 2026, when we're recording this video, if we had it to do all over again, Ecuador is still affordable. It's still beautiful. They still have visas that we would qualify for. It's still welcoming to foreigners, which is also kind of, some places are not as welcoming as they used to be. Still offers an incredible quality of life with the built-in expat infrastructure. So the reasons may have matured a little bit, and we have a little bit better frame of reference, but the conclusion hasn't changed. We would still go there.
Absolutely. Absolutely, which is why we keep saying we will never give up our permanent residency, because we love it so much. And we miss it. After traveling around for a while, I really miss going to Ecuador.
Yeah, me too. I miss being there.
I know.
It really changed our lives. And I always say I'm so thankful for Ecuador because it gave us our lives back. We were stuck in the hamster wheel, and a lot of people call it a rat race. It's not. It's a hamster wheel. A race implies you can win. The hamster wheel, you just keep running in circles, not getting anywhere. And that's what our lives felt like back in the U.S. And
Wow.
Ecuador, I felt like we really got off of that hamster wheel.
We did. I mean, with all of your surgeries in the year from hell, our lives changed so much, and we had to do something dramatic. And both of us wanting to live abroad, it really was the catalyst to do it. And I guess you could say we got lucky because we did do our exploratory trip, but we were basically ready to go and we didn't have a lot of other options. And I am so grateful it worked out so perfectly. And here we are, and it still is the perfect fit for us.
Yeah, we know it's not perfect. It's got problems, and we really hope that they can work through those and get things back to the way they were when we moved there in 2017.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah, but we still think it offers the best combination of like the quality of life and an affordable price with all of the other factors that really matter if you're going to leave the U.S. and move abroad.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Yeah, so let us know what you guys think in the comments, especially if you live in Ecuador or you've at least been to Ecuador. We get tons of comments from people who have never been there, who just recite what they see in the news without firsthand experience. And I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but a lot of times it's just not right. You have to go see it for yourself before you make up your mind about what a country is like. And even if you're from there and you get the bad reports from your family who lives in Duran, I understand their frame of reference and experience is a lot different than ours is and was. But you got to go to Cuenca or Cotacachi or like some of the other cool areas. Loja.
Loja, yeah. Quito.
Baños. I love Baños. It's so cool there.
Yes.
All right, so before you go, remember to register for the free webinar where we're going to talk about Ecuador residency visas with Maite, our visa expert. You can do that at ameliaandjp.com/webinar.
And before you go, leave us a like, please. And we will see you all in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.